RWBY.
Hello, today I'm creating redesigns of Team Juniper of RWBY. The premise of my redesign is, what if the fall of Beacon didn't happen, and the teams were allowed to move forward to their next year? This is the sequel to my last video where I redesigned Team RWBY under the same alternate universe premise. Since then I've considered what to name the AU. I'm thinking of naming it either RWBY Neverfall or RWBY Rising. Let me know what you prefer, I like both a lot. Once again I start with all the thumbnail sketches before moving on to designing them. Jean's pose I wanted to look as if he's standing how he thinks a hero would pose with a sword and shield, but not as confident, because remember Jean is still a rookie and being trained by Pira. I think Nora's pose is so fun, and Pira I knew I wanted to be strong and ready, facing confidently forward. I think Ren's pose is so graceful and may be my favorite, tied with Nora. First up to design is Jean. I wasn't completely certain how far I wanted to deviate from his original. I wanted to keep his pumpkin peach jacket, which by the way I would love if he and Pira could at some point have a fun conversation about that, which would be possible since 1, Pira is alive in this AU, and 2, things aren't as dire, so Pira wouldn't have been told about being chosen to become the next fall maiden yet. Anyway, I wanted to keep most of Jean's general look the same, but maybe with more armor. With Pira training him, I figured she would probably guide him into getting more armor, particularly for his legs, but not too much would change. I did however give Jean his warrior's wolf tail, which I've always wanted to see on him. Contrary to what I've seen people say, I do actually adore his short haircut he got in Volume 7. I think it really suits him and shows he's grown, but Jean in my AU isn't there yet, so I figure he'd at least get some of his hair out of the way in the meantime. I didn't really do much in changing his color scheme either, but I did give him more substantial gloves, pants, and boots than he had in Volumes 1 through 3. I think the result is a nice natural progression into Jean's second year, don't you? Next is Nora. Right off the bat I knew I wanted to add more heart shapes to her design, if for no other reason than a heart is my favorite shape, so I love to incorporate them personally. I think Nora's Volume 4 design has always been a really great progression for her, so I based most of my design off that, with a cute puffy skirt and belt situation, though I did get rid of the belt clasp later on. For her top I used the armor details she had in Volume 1 and reshaped them into something of a heart, so that she would have basically a heart-shaped breastplate. I gave her little heart-shaped knee pads and added the same sort of hearts on the back of her hands. I also wanted to bring back her cute bow she used to have on the back of her skirt, and her arms and legs all have white cloth material that end in scalloped ruffles, which I always think is cute. I also gave her wrists little glove cuffs, mostly because I wanted to give all her limbs a similar looking detail, kind of like with the white ruffled parts. Also, just had to mention it, I gave the soles of her boots little heart shapes too. I just think they're a fun surprise. I'm definitely pleased with Nora's look. Next up is the great one, Pira. Immediately I just had to give her prototype designs belt. I think it's a great look. I also wanted to give her some shorts which will later appear under a pleated skirt, which I've seen other fan artists create for extra Pira designs. They're inspired by gladiator skirts. I also gave Pira some shoulder armor, nothing too bulky so that she can still easily maneuver her weapons, and it turns out looking almost like an extension of her neck piece. I didn't really change her legs up, though I did alter her boots slightly to include more gold armor accents. Her top I only changed slightly, and the same goes for her arms, as I didn't alter them too much, though I did get rid of her little golden upper arm brace, even though I do still think it's super cute. For her hair, I wanted to make the ponytail higher and more pronounced, almost like one of those helmets with the red plumage coming out. I gave her a golden crown-like decoration to hold her hair, and shortened her bangs. I almost decided to get rid of her bangs and clip them back, but I decided it wouldn't look enough like Pira if I did that. As for the final look I gave her, I'm really pleased with it. I always wanted to give Pira shorts. She does look great in her skirt, but I always thought it would be more comfortable and allow her to be more free in battle if she was given shorts. And I also think the skirt detail over top really adds a fun silhouette. Finally, there's Ren. When RWBY was first releasing, I recall watching Chapter 4 on repeat, because I enjoyed Ren so much, and it was the most recent episode at the time. You might notice that I'll gush a bit over him in this segment. I practically had Chapter 4 on loop, and I watched him do that fancy trick where he put his guns back in his sleeves so many times. Speaking of that action, I really miss when he used to do that, so for my design, I gave him back his cute sleeves. For his outfit, I wanted to keep with the look of his Volumes 1 and 4 designs. Somewhat of a combination with my own spin on it, and some fun layers. Also, as a Naruto fan, I just had to give him the sandals he had in Volume 4. Similarly to Volume 4 is how I did his hair. For this design, I took out the braid to show his beautiful thick hair, but I did put it in a ponytail to at least contain it. I enjoy the idea that Nora braids it for him, but I just really love to see it out. As for Ren's colors, I knew I wanted to add more pink. However, I didn't want to overload the design in pink as much as I enjoy it. I worked around with the greens and blacks, and after experimenting I discovered I really loved giving him one black sleeve. The asymmetry with the black sleeve harkens to his Volume 7 design, and I think it's a nice way to add interest to his outfit. I also wanted to put his pink lotus proudly on the front of his outfit. Again, it adds more pink, but also I just think it fits well there. When coloring the pink parts of the rest of his outfit, I decided to add a light pattern of sakura blossoms. I think it adds a pleasing detail to his look. There we have it, Team Juniper in their second year at Beacon. I think all the designs are pretty natural progressions from their Volume 1 designs, just different enough to make them look like they've grown since the year before. To add to my alternate universe idea, I was thinking that a lot of the things that led up to the actual fall of Beacon would be altered, such as Emerald, Mercury, Cinder, and Neo would not enter into the tournament, and Penny's robotic nature would not be revealed to the public. However, I was thinking that Penny vs. Pira would still happen. Since Pira and my idea would not be stressed out from being told about the maidens, her head would still be in the game. She'd fight against Penny just as well, and Emerald wouldn't be there to mess with her mind and make Pira overdo her semblance. However, I think it would be cool if mid-battle, Pira touched Penny and used that to help her semblance. However, I think Pira would then be able to tell that there was quite a lot of metal covering Penny, which wouldn't make any sense to her, considering her design, and after the fight she would note it as strange. Maybe even to RWBY, who would still be watching the fight. Maybe Yang would be there too, since Yang wouldn't have disqualified Team RWBY by quote-unquote breaking Mercury's leg. Anyway, Pira telling RWBY that she noticed something strange in the fight would probably lead to some interesting interactions. And by the way, I think the fight between Penny and Pira would last quite a long time. I think in the end neither of them would get too much of the upper hand over the other, but in the end, Pira might just run out of aura sooner. Mostly because she's human and would be using her semblance all throughout the fight, while Penny wouldn't necessarily need to do that. I also think that Pira losing that fight would not necessarily humble her, but show to her that she's not indestructible. It might even lead her to thinking a lot about her destiny and how hard she's fought to get where she is, and maybe that she doesn't have to be the strongest in the room. Who knows? Anyway, hope you enjoyed the redesigns and some of my ramblings on RWBY Rising or RWBY Neverfall. Let me know which title you like better. Have a great day!